and started stabbing people, I'm sure it will have been something that took people by surprise. But he wasn't an invited guest at an event like Usman Khan was on London Bridge. So it sounds very much like this erupted out of nowhere, took people by surprise, obviously very shocking on a Sunday afternoon just on a shopping street in South London. There are people on social media who've described giving first aid to people who were injured, and that they had a bit of a wait for the paramedics to get there to help them with that. And if someone's suffering from a stab wound, then obviously the priority is to try and stop them bleeding to death. So I can imagine that that must have been very traumatic for the people who witnessed it, as well as for the people involved. There are also... We don't know who called the police. Right, we don't know, or the ambulance.
We heard reports earlier, you said that 1:58 p.m. might have been a crucial time.
1:58 is the time the ambulance service has given for the first call to for paramedics' response. Now,
which indicates people would have been stabbed at that stage.
Yes,
potentially.
Absolutely. And we've seen a line of paramedic cars that got there very quickly. They too, like the armed police, are drilled in responding to mass casualty terror events. So lots of paramedics there quickly, able to give attention to the people who were injured. But one crucial question could be who called the paramedics in? Were police already there? Did they make that call? Or was that a call from a member of the public? We just don't know at the moment. There's too much confusion about exactly when this erupted, where, who it involved, and who did what in the aftermath.
And so, just picking up, when we're in central London, all of us, and probably a lot of people watching as well, we're always on slight alert for something that might happen. You might hear a bang and you think, is this another one in central London? But I wonder if people in Stretham felt they were out of the centre of London. There are no iconic buildings there, no monuments there, whether that was perhaps a place that you just would not expect this kind of thing to happen. Have you picked that up from the witnesses that we've heard?
Yeah, I think people have been shocked that this has happened in their street. And even though it's inner London, it's quite a busy area, it's not the sort of place that you would expect this to happen. There's no apparent reason for it to happen there, other than perhaps there were people gathered about shopping on a Sunday afternoon. If you want to target a body of people, that's somewhere you could go. But one
busy area, Stretham High Road. I mean, the name gives it away. It would be busy at 2 p.m. on a Sunday.
But doesn't necessarily have the political impact of a higher profile target like the Houses of Parliament or one of the big bridges in London. So a curious question as to why this happened here.
Which raises again the question of motive, of course, because a lot of these incidents where they've happened in the past have been about effectively creating mayhem, fear, damage, and showing the groups have the potential to cause harm in the heart of whatever may be the way of life they're attacking.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, that will raise all sorts of questions about whether this was a kind of spontaneous attack, whether it was a planned attack, whether the intention was to be somewhere else and it was stopped or challenged at an earlier stage. And there's a lot of questions that, again, as I said, have to be asked without the person responsible being available to answer them.
Absolutely, yes. The result of taking the action that was needed to suppress the threat here, killing the attacker, means that police have to do the background checks themselves. They have to do that work. So that's their priority now, having dealt with the incident on the ground. The detective work will be going on, the forensic work will be trying to establish exactly who this guy was. Let's get an identity, let's find out what we know about him from any previous interactions. Is he British? Did he come into the country? Where's he been recently? How's he moved around? When did he come to London? Is that just something that happened today? How much planning went into this? What was he doing with a quite large machete from the pictures that we've seen from the scene? What was he doing apparently with something that looked like a suicide vest strapped around him? That all leads to a conclusion that this was planned to some degree and that he was intent on causing some sort of disturbance, disruption, perhaps harm to people. Did he mean to do it here? Did he mean to do it right then? Those are the sorts of questions